Right, what are we doing? We are doing electric hookup. That's what we're doing. Right. In today's video, I'm working on the camper van. That time I installed the electric hookup kit that I've got, so I'm able to plug the van in to campsites or electric hookups to charge the Bluetti battery inside when we're traveling. Probably should mention I got this as a whole kit from eBay with the RCD you'll see later in the video, from a company called Thompson Electrical Wholesale. The link will be in the description here. Their name will be here. I also reached out to them, and they've also been very kind to offer a small discount if you use this code here when purchasing through the link in my description below. First protocol is the external point. Now I've not wired this up yet because I need to mark where I want it to go. I want it to go on this panel. Obviously I'm building a medium wheelbase van, so I've got the sliding door. I've got the sliding door to think about and where that stops. If you can see here, it doesn't give me a lot of retail space to work with when it comes to fitting the electric hookup point. Now, you might think, put it on the other side. I don't want it on the other side. I want it this side because all my electrics are going to be this side. A lot of my electrics are going to be this side of the van for the kitchen area and stuff like that. So I want everything back to this point. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So I've got this sort of space here. We've got this flap, which I need to think about. But if I put it like that, I can tuck it right in there and it would still be able to open, and then get the cable in there to be able to use it. I need and want this back end of the unit to probably come out somewhere around here. So the cable will be coming out at the bottom and then going into a consumer unit, which will be somewhere up here or over here. I'm thinking here would be the perfect point, but I don't know where that comes out on the side of the van. Now I know the magnetic bolt is here. So if I was to measure roughly 250 down from the magnetic bolt and then 130 across, it should show me roughly where it lines up on the outside here. So yeah, 250 about there, 130 central, so that's about there. So what I've done is, I don't know if you can see, I've just put a little red mark here, and I'm going to take this drill and I'm going to drill from the inside out to get an idea of roughly where it is on the van, and then I'm going to know exactly where I want to place it. So that's perfect. There's my hole drilled, so I know that is the center of the unit. Close the door to get it out of the way, and now what I want to do to mark out this hole is, I think, roughly put it there. No point leveling it on a bloody van. It's just got to look reasonable, hopefully. And I'm just going to take my red or pink Sharpie in this case, and just going to mark around it. So that looks pretty good, to be fair. Hole's pretty much bang in the middle. Ready to cut that out. Now, time to cut this hole out. Most people would use a hole saw, maybe a jigsaw. Most people would use a jigsaw, to be fair, or maybe even a hole saw. Not me, because I can't find my metal bits for my jigsaw, because my whole life is a mess. So I'm using my multi-tool with a metal bit. So this should be fun. This isn't working. Right, that tactic clearly didn't work. Clearly. So I'm going to try and drill a load of holes all the way around. You might just think, go to the shop, buy some more metal blade bits. However, it's just me and the children today. The children, it's early in the morning, the children are in the pajamas. And I don't want to leave now because I've got holes in this bloody van. And I don't want to pack the kids up and go to the shop, which is bloody miles away, to buy some more metal blade bits. So, yeah, it's this option for me right now. And yeah, it's been a rough week. That was an absolute complete state. I bit the bullet. I found Screwfix Sprint, not sponsored, obviously. Screwfix Sprint are going to deliver me some metal jigsaw blades to my house in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So while I'm waiting for them, I'm going to cut the panel that goes on the other side of this, so then I can start fitting consumer units and stuff to the panel that's going to eventually be inside the electrical cupboard. But come and have a look at this terrible job that I've done. Building vans, it's not for the weak. Look, scratch, scratch, scratch. All this would be cut out eventually, but that, oh my god. I'm hoping that's going to be covered by the unit, but yeah. I've had a mare, complete balls up. Measure twice, cut once. Obviously measuring the second time after I've already cut the board. But it's right. Or, I've just jinxed it. It's right to what I measured earlier. Now what I need to do is I need to try and mark it out around the wheel arch. Notch it around these notches here. Sounds like here are my jigsaw blades. I'm going to finish doing this. Hello, buddy. Sorry to make you come back again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Jigsaw blades. Keep these in a safe place. In the front of the van. They can live for now. A lot of people use cardboard to create a template, which I would do, but I don't have any cardboard. Not that amount of cardboard anyway. So, going with hit and hope. I'm not too worried about this side in finishing wise because it's going to be boxed in with a cupboard, with a full electrical cupboard anyway. So you won't see this on display. The other side, again, you probably won't see much of that on display either because of what I've got planned. But this particular side, I'm not too fussed about being perfect. Perfect. It's not the worst. I'm not really mad at it. Around the archway, it's not the best. But equally, it's not the worst for a freehand. Right, so now I've got my metal blades and a jigsaw. Time to reattempt this. So I've made some bigger holes, more holes, to get the jigsaw blade in. So now it should be a case of just cutting it out. So let's give that a go. See how easy that was? Get the right tools. Okay, just needs a bit of a trim, which I could probably do with a file. Oh, like a glove. Like a glove. That should wash off. Can you see one little bit of scratch just here? Everything else is covered. Thank whoever I need to thank for that. Loads of room on the door. Opens all the way. Be able to plug that in, no problem. And then what's quite nice is when the door opens, because it's a medium or base, it kicks it out to like here. So the cable will just drop down and carry on. We're on campsites and we want that door open. Shouldn't have any issue. Next job is I'm going to wire this up now so I feed the cable through, so it's all done. Out the other side, job's good. Right, so hole drilled, painted, external hookup point wired up. So I've wired this up. It's standard electrical. For those that don't know, brown is live, blue is neutral, yellow and green is earth. Wire up into the points on the back of the unit via some screws here and here, and then there's multiple ways to put the cable out of the unit. Either come straight out or two already drilled out holes coming down. If your van's anything like mine, go for the ones coming down, because if it comes straight out, it'll come out too far and you won't be able to get the panel on that we cut earlier. One little screw on the back. And we are ready to go. Right, getting there. Right, now that's wired and the wire's on the inside. Time to fix this to the outside of the van. I've got these inch, don't know if you can see that, inch self-tapping screws. And then there's 4 holes here. I'm just going to eye that up how I want that. Now, the back of this unit has a foam insert that goes all the way around, which supposedly should be waterproof once you fix these self-tapping screws. This is now fixed, not going anywhere, with the 4 screws coming through the side of the van, ready to go. Here's our cable, which is going to be wired into the RCD unit. But the next thing I need to do before I get the board on and start marking out where all the units are going to go, the consumer unit, is I need to insulate this panel with plastic bottle insulation that I've got. So I'm not going to make you sit there and watch it. So that should be insulated now. Insulated. So what I've done is I've shoved insulation all in the panel, made sure I've gone up here into the panel as well and down as far as I can go. I've just shoved it everywhere, squeezed it right in, and then I've kept all the running cables on the front as well, because I wanted to be able to see them for obvious reasons. So now I'm going to try and get the board back in and hopefully get that screwed in, fixed into place. So back to the electric hookup. I'm going to wire this up on video, hopefully, fingers crossed, because I couldn't find a video that actually wired one up in front of me. So hopefully this will help you. So this is the RCD unit, or the consumer unit, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not really sure what they are called, but this is the unit that our electric hookup essentially will come in. We'll plug it in, the power will come in into the main RCD, which is the bigger one of the three, sorry. And then power will come in, come out into these smaller RCDs, which will split, and I'll tell you about them in a second. And they will go off to our, I've not got it out here, socket, which will then plug our Bluetti power bank in to charge that. Basically, that's the plan. So let me talk you through this. This is the unit. You've got the neutral bar and the earth bar, and you've got the 3 RCD units. This is the main one. This is the distribution one, I think. This is the one where the power comes in. It then comes out, connects into these two, and then distributes out to the sockets or wherever you want to go. So I don't know if you can see here. So you've got B10, B6. B10 is the one we're going to be using for the sockets. B10, speaking to my best mate who's an electrician, he says B6 will be used for like lights. So the 6 is amps, basically. So 10 amps, 6 amps. He said use the 10 amps to your sockets, and then use the 6 if you wanted to power lights off it. For example, if you were wiring in this to a camper van that was always going to be connected to mains, for example, like maybe a smaller van, like a transporter, you weren't doing something off grid, you only wanted power when it was plugged in, your van was physically plugged in, you could wire up your 6 amps, like your lights and stuff, to this one, and then your sockets to this one, basically. So we are greeted with the main RCD, so ignore these two. The main one, 1, 3, 2, and 4. Our orange power is going to come in live and then neutral. So 1 will be live, 3 will be neutral, and then the earth will go off to this earth bar. And then this, we've got on the out, we've got a neutral coming out to the neutral bar, and then we've got this port for the live. The power will come in, 1 will be our live, 3 will be our neutral, and then our earth from our incoming feed from the electric hookup will go into the earth bar here. And then on the output, we've got 2 will be our live output, so that will come out via this copper bar that comes as part of the kit, which will basically, essentially, if you can see that there, plug in like that to all 3 RCDs, essentially bridging the live output to the 2 live inputs on the 2 RCDs, if that makes sense. So it's going but, and then we've got our neutral from our main RCD out to the neutral bar, which is here, and then this from here we will earth this to an earthing point in the van, probably on a bolt, one of these bolts up here that is bolted through to the chassis, so I will earth that as well. And then from here we go live out to our socket, so ignore this one. So the B6 we won't be using, just the B10. So our live will come out into our socket, our neutral will go to our neutral, and our earth will go to our earth. Hopefully that makes sense. And then that will go on to feed our sockets. So we're going to wire that up now. Right. So feed comes in, as I said earlier, feed comes in, earth out to the earth bar, brown and blue, brown being live, blue being neutral, round the back and up. Brown, live into 1, neutral into 3. That will now come out of here. So we've got our neutral coming out of there to our neutral bar. And then here we're going to have the copper insert, which will then, once that's got power coming in, that will bring the live out of here and onto those 2 copper bars and bring the lives going into there, basically. Next, I need to take next, so I can shut this all up, I need to earth this to the chassis, and I need to bring the cables in for the socket out of our B10 as well, for our sockets, which will in turn power our Bluetti power station. So here is the cable that comes out, which will go on to be connected to our 2 30-volt sockets, somewhere probably down here, which I'll work out in a minute. And as you can see, we've done the feed coming in from the orange and coming out and earthed and neutraled. And then, so once we put this in.
Let's try low-key hanging.
Like.
Oh! Okay, low-key hanging.
There.
Try low-key hanging. Oh, yeah. Like red ones.
Like that. Let's go do that up quickly. So now the copper bar is in, coming out of the main RCD. So now the live is now out into these two. So if we were plugged in to the external hookup out here, this would be live. Obviously these are switched off at the moment, so it wouldn't, that breaks the circuit. And then yeah, so our live from our socket cable comes out of the live of our B10 and then into the cable, and then our neutral is connected to the neutral bar, and our earth is connected down here to the earth bar. And then what also I've done is I've connected the separate earth cable that is supplied by TEW, and that will be earthed to the chassis somewhere. I'm thinking of drilling a little hole here and then earthing the cable to the chassis there. So that is where we are at the moment, and I can get the lid back on.
But looks like you're actually in. I know. I must you.
Oh, I got a bit carried away and now it got dark. So I'm just showing you what I've actually done. So excuse my foot. So here will be the Bluetti unit. You've got our consumer unit at the top, which you've seen me put in. I've now wired in from that consumer unit 2 sockets. One will be in the unit with the Bluetti, because that just makes sense to plug it straight in so you can charge. And then I thought I'd have one on the outside here. I'm using my foot because I'm holding a light with my other hand. I thought I'd put another socket right there, so when we're plugged in at campsites, we can also basically use power from the back of the van should we need to. So I just thought that's a good option to have. It's the solar panel unit to the wall, which is this. So this is the isolator for the solar panels. And then I've also started to fit the Bluetti Charger 1, so the DC charger unit from Bluetti, which I'll talk more about in another video. And then up here is the bus bar, or whatever it's called, the fuse board for the 12-volt system. And that is pretty much the electrical system now, wired to a certain extent. Obviously a whole job is putting in the 12-volt system in, wiring it into that unit, which again is also another video in itself when I'm ready to do that. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you. I can't test this today because I need a specific cable that obviously I can plug into the mains of a house and then plug into the plug on the outside of the van. So I'm gonna get one of those to test the system. So cue jump in to that day now. It's the next day. Just turning it out there. So it's the next day. Obviously you've seen everything I've done. Up until this point with wiring up the external hookup or electric hookup, whatever you want to call it. And I said I couldn't test it because I didn't have a cable to plug it into the house. And obviously I don't want to buy one because I'm cheap. No, because there's no point for me to buy one just to test it, because obviously because I'm powering off the Bluetti, I can remove that from this whole system, take it out of the van and charge it in the house if I need to charge before a trip. So what I do need to get is, which I've already got, is a camper van to camper van hookup cable, which would be absolutely fine. But I reached out to my local community and someone messaged me saying they had one I could use for a couple of hours to test. So what I've got is this. So it plugs into the mains or a normal socket, and then that should plug into the van so we can test the system. So to wrap this video up, we might as well test it and see if it goes bang or not, which I'm a little bit nervous about because this is serious electricity. So I've got the extension lead, which is plugged in the house, should be turned on. I'm gonna plug it into the van and see what happens. So we've got our unit set up And this is the first time plugging it in to a van. No bang as of yet. No bang. Let's go around to the side and see what's going on. So what I've done is the RCDs are off. Obviously you've just seen me plug it into the van. But the Bluetti is plugged into this socket down here, which is turned on. So essentially what should happen is I should flick this on, then the socket one on, and then this should turn on because it should go into a state of charging. So let's figure it out. There's one on. Now I'm going to turn the socket RCD on. We're on. Let's come on. Yes! Success! I'm actually chuffed with that. We are plugged in. Just turn the RCDs on up here, which obviously comes down to this socket, then to that one. So that one should also be live. Sorry, my finger's over the camera. Then that plugs in to there, and then plugs in down here on the Bluetti, which then turned the Bluetti on, and you can see we are charging. It should be charged in 0.5 hours, so about half hour. Turn it back on. And you can see AC input is currently bringing in 391 watts. So that, my friends, I would call a success. And then obviously the solar's switched off at the moment, so that's also plugged in. And then the Bluetti Charger 1, another video, is also mounted, ready to go in as well. So yeah, I'd say that's a great success. So that's this video done. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been useful. That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be useful. I found a few external hookup videos out there on YouTube, but nothing that really went into the depths of wiring it up. It was almost like everything was just wired and then you show them connecting it on, sort of thing. So hopefully I've covered a bit about that in this video. I'll link the kit I bought from eBay. I'll link the kit I bought from eBay in the description below, so if you want to check that out, please do. But yeah, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you have found this video useful, if you could give it a like and subscribe, that would mean the world, because that means I can continue making videos on the adventures and doing like the camper van and stuff like that. Making videos, it makes it all a bit more worthwhile. So yeah, if you do have found this video useful, please subscribe. Really appreciate it. But until next time, see you next week. Love you, bye.